Acho said Calvin Ridley was throwing games. As he showed a highlight.
So I watched that highlight about Calvin. I think he was a joke, right? He was joking?
No, he was not joking.
You think that guy who put out the tweet was joking?
He was not joking.
I thought Acho was joking.
Yeah, you would think that.
I watched those clips. He was making people miss.
Because any normal person would be joking if they put out that. But no, that was
dead serious.
Acho was dead serious.
No way.
Yes.
I think so.
Swear to God.
I think so.
Because he got a pass, had a first down, tried to make a move, actually went back.
Yeah, but that was a joke, I thought.
First wide receiver in the history to go backwards to try to get more yards.
Yeah, not a joke. Very real.
But there's no way you guys are right on this.
No.
He actually, I believe, doubled down.
100%.
A lot of people were like, dude, delete
Come
this.
on, dude. No
Swear
way.
to God.
Oh, yeah.
Swear to God.
He said, if I do recall, the tweet was basically like, I'm not saying Calvin Ridley was throwing games, but here's some footage that's very
this is
damning.
damning evidence.
And it was very obviously edited by him. It was terribly edited.
Yeah.
It was I think it was a quote tweet from someone else.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Terribly edited. Whatever. It was like an OBS. It was an Odell Beckham
Yes.
Sr. clip, basically.
Yes.
That he put out. And it was a couple clips of Calvin Ridley trying to make people miss where he potentially ran backwards. One was for a first down. He had a first down, comes back 3 yards, gets tackled. A follow-up would be, did they get the first down there? That would be a good follow-up piece of information. Then there was another one where he cuts like a seam, and then he's off and running with two guys, and the guy on his right seems to be catching up to him, so he decides to cut back, make a play, another cut back.
Yeah.
He feels like he's a very fidgety runner, which I didn't know much about Calvin Ridley, by the way. He had to be joking.
No, it was dead serious.
Yeah.
That was the
All
part.
right, let's dive into that because we didn't get to it yesterday. And the Aaron Rodgers news, we'll talk about that again in about 10 minutes with AJ Hawk. What did he know?
Yeah.
How much did he know? That whole thing. And congrats to him being a good friend and not letting anything out.
Yeah.
I guess.
He's a steel trap in there. Calvin Ridley yesterday was suspended for at least 1 year by the NFL because he had been caught gambling on NFL games this past season. Although he was away from the team with mental health situation, which sources have told us very real. There was some real stuff. The Atlanta Falcons excused it. Calvin Ridley was going through some real things. We don't know what exactly happened. Just sources have told us that it was something very serious. So hopefully everything is figured out in that particular department. He was back in Florida, and it was the weekend that the Falcons were playing the Jacksonville Jaguars, and he made bets up to $1,500. He had a 3-team, a 5-team, and an 8-team parlay. He bet $1,500 total dollars. If you listen to his tweet that he came out with afterwards, he doesn't have a gambling problem. I only gambled $1,500. And he made these bets on the Hard Rock Sportsbook app, which I completely forgot about yesterday because, FanDuel is literally the only one that I even think about. When people say like sports gambling is legal, I'm like, oh, FanDuel's legal.
Yeah.
Oh, mobile sports. Oh, okay. FanDuel's legal.
legal.
FanDuel's legal. And by the way, I think a lot of people think like that because of how damn good FanDuel is at what they do.
Yep.
Now, their Twitter account, they fucking perpetuated the lie for me and Rappaport is breaking news as well, which is fascinating.
Can't be having that.
Very fascinating.
Bold move.
That's very, very fascinating. But the entire thought that Calvin Ridley put these bets down, a company called Genius, who was hired by the NFL to track basically all of the gambling sports books. And if any player's name pops up, I'd assume, I'm not 100% sure, I don't know the ins and outs of Genius. If any player's name pops up, they are to immediately report it to the NFL. Then the NFL, because sports gambling is legalized on the Hard Rock Seminole thing down there, you're able to track all of that. You're able to see exactly what he did, how he did, everything that he bet on, for how long he bet on that as well. We assumed it was a bookie. He was gambling with some bookie. The bookie got caught up and kind of threw him under the bus, like what happened with Pete Rose back in the day. Turns out he was actually doing it regulated and it was legal and everything like that. We do not know if he won. We do know that he bet on the Falcons to beat the Jaguars money line. Smart.
Yeah.
Good call.
Good gambler. Good gambler.
Smart. We don't 3, 5, and 8-team parlays.
Shout out.
3, okay, cool. 5, all right. 8 is hilarious because he put an amount of money in there, $500, $600 on it, $700 on it, and he saw that the payout was $150,000 or something. He's like, "Oh my God, this is the easiest thing of all time." That actually explains to me that this was his first time doing this. If he does a 3 parlay, 5 parlay, 8-team parlay, I feel like this was his first time, and he was getting his first experience of, "Oh my God, I know this is going to happen. It takes $500. I get this." I personally, just from outside looking in. With that being said, he knew he wasn't allowed to play on that. I assume the NFL told them they had this Genius app working that if your name pops up on any of these things, they will be flagged, tracked, and sent to the NFL immediately. And remember that if you gamble on NFL games, you will be punished very, very harshly.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people saying because the NFL has a deal with sports books and because how sports gambling is becoming more legalized, there's still 30 some states that don't have sports gambling legalized.
Wild.
Okay, so you got to remember that back in the day, not so long ago, like 4 years ago, 5 years ago, players weren't even allowed to speak for alcohol. Alcohol was legal everywhere for a very, very, very long time. So whenever you think about the NFL with sports gambling, they were profiting off the alcohol for a long time, by the way. The players weren't able to do it. So whenever you think about the NFL with sports gambling, although it is growing and although they're doing business with it, which we all have seen in the world, we've seen enough commercials to drive us all fucking insane. And by the way, all the ones that we thought were terrible commercials and weren't working, they weren't. You know, whenever you're watching them and going like, oh, does that would that make me want to gamble on that particular sport? Probably not.
No.
I guess it's a nice piece of entertainment there, but I don't know if I'm gambling there. We were right that people were not gambling on a lot of those sites. I mean, that is how that whole thing goes. But I do not believe there is a time in any recent near future, 20, 30, 40 years, that you will find any league, okay, not just the NFL, any professional league okay with their players being associated with a sports book or gambling or anything like that. I know a lot of people are saying, like, take it easy, a year suspension is so much longer than other wrongs that have been dealt with by the NFL. And by the way, I agree completely with what you are saying. There's a lot of things that have not gotten the harshest of punishments that it has deserved. Justice has not been served in the world so many times, in the NFL as well. But anytime you think a player is potentially gambling or associated with gambling, it's going to ruin it for everybody. The people that are gambling, the people that are playing, the leagues don't want it, the people that are gambling don't want it. That integrity and the thought that this is clean sport, clean competition, battling it out with zero affiliations to anybody will always be what the NFL will grandstand upon to ever allow a player have a deal with any sports book. I just think that is going to be the case for a long time. And I know a year, a whole season sounds absurd. 17 games, $11 million. But we all know that in the fantasy land, we don't want people to be made examples of. In fantasy land, we want everybody to be punished exactly on what the crime that they did. But in reality, examples are made. In reality, things take place to set precedent that, hey, if this ever fucking happens again, this is what's going to take place, because the NFL wants nothing to do with the thought that the players could be compromised by sports gambling, which is going to become a massive business. Now, I saw a great tweet from Demario Davis. He said, oh, so now the integrity is being questioned because Calvin Ridley, who wasn't playing in the games, was gambling on sport. He was hired by an NFL team, though. And he's in the NFL. There's some things that for a long time you had to wait till you're retired that you could do. Smoking weed is one of them. Now, I don't know what the rules are. Obviously, guys probably aren't smoking still. But
No.
there are things you're not allowed to do whenever you're a professional athlete, when you're in the NFL. Sports gambling just so happens to be one of them. And he was away from the team, so he could have forgot about that. He could have been getting loose, trying to get his mind back right and everything like that. I am not, by the way, as somebody that started sports gambling when I retired, I love it. I thought my brain was great for it in the NFL. I've made money. It's awesome. Demario Davis, though, came out and said, so players are suspended whole seasons for betting on games. But when there are rumors about a team's owner paying coaches to lose games, we supposed to act like we don't see that? Somebody help me. I'm asking for a friend. Valid.
Yeah.
Very valid.
Very, very valid, which is why the Brian Flores situation was so big, because goddamn, if we got teams tanking in the NFL, in programs trying to lose, then it's not fair sport. It's not fair competition, especially with the billions. Billions of dollars that's being wagered upon every single game. So I think the integrity of the league will be something that the NFL will grandstand upon forever. All leagues will grandstand upon, by the way. Tim Donaghy almost killed the fucking NBA.
Yeah.
People still bring it up whenever something happens in the NBA. Oh, it's rigged. The refs are doing this. The refs are doing this. and all those things are going to have to continue to get looked into. But Roger Goodell is making a statement here. That's exactly what this is. And as the world continues to turn in the sports gambling world, he's just got to hope and pray. Refs, coaches, players,
Right.
this is something they've been scared of. There's signs all over every single facility. And I believe that's why the year-long punishment was made, and why the year-long punishment probably by a lot of people is like, yeah, that's going to stay probably.
Yeah, you have to do it almost, because if you don't make an example of this guy, this is the type of thing where like it could be compromised quickly. Like if he gets a 2-game suspension, like who gives a fuck? You know how many guys, like you could get games compromised that way, because guys, like if they see that this is what happens if you do this shit, it's not going to happen again, or if it does, it's going to be far less likely.